See, because a lot more animals die on our dinner tables than on roads. So yeah,
Mm.
we run a rescue. We help around 1,000 animals a year, but that's a very tiny number. If people were to move away from destructive behaviors, they would, you know, that saves a whole lot more animals.
Welcome to the Better Life for Animals podcast, where we amplify the voices of animal advocates, sanctuaries, and changemakers working toward a kinder, more compassionate world. Through powerful stories and expert insights, we shine a light on the efforts to rescue, protect, and advocate for animals. Be sure to subscribe wherever you're watching or listening. Every follower helps us reach more people and support animal sanctuaries. Enjoy the conversation.
Today's guest is Robin Singh, co-founder of Peepal Farm, a remarkable animal rescue and awareness organization based in the foothills of the Himalayas. Since 2014, Peepal Farm has grown from a simple home with a cowshed into a sanctuary, veterinarian clinic, and vibrant community hub committed to healing injured stray animals, promoting sustainable living, and inspiring a kinder world. Through hands-on rescue, end-of-life care, education, and creative media projects, Robin and his team are challenging the status quo and showing what's possible when compassion leads the way. Robin, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me, Cheryl.
Can you start us off by sharing what inspired you to found Peepal Farm and how the journey began?
The long version or the short version?
I'm whatever you think fits best.
So it started when I was in India. I was searching for my own happiness. I had just arrived back from the US after exiting my tech company, and I tried various ways for 18 months, and nothing gave me happiness. And then eventually, when I gave up on it, and I was like, there's no such thing as happiness, and I was in despair. I came across this woman, and she was taking care of 40 to 60 dogs, and she was old, she was anemic, she was broke, and she was collecting all this waste food from restaurants, and then sifting it through hands to make sure it's got no glass, no plastic, and then feeding it to dogs. And it's then when my pursuit of happiness changed to pursuit of purpose. And it was that. And when you start working on suffering, then you notice it a whole lot more. That's what happened with me. And I was like, there's so much more suffering. Well, I focus on just 40 to 60 dogs. So, I started a sterilizations program, so there would be no more puppies and no more suffering. And while doing that, there was a realization, all animals are capable of feeling pain. So why just help dogs? And then another one was, even if we were to rescue all animals, you can only help so many, helping one animal at a time. So the idea came, okay, let's have a place where we rescue all animals, but we do it in a way where we also change people's perception towards animals, a place which awares people against objectification of animals. And another thought was that, okay, even if we are doing rescues, we are doing awareness, there's only so much one person can do. So let's do it in a way which inspires other people to do rescue and awareness. And that was the idea behind People Farm. That's how it came to be.
You have said so much there, Robin. I think also deeply myself about, sometimes the pain of what we know about in the world can be so debilitating, but as you said, turn that into purpose. I love that. And also how there's a limit to what people seem to be able to take in as far as that. And so we need more of us in order to reach out and make a difference. And sometimes I really think that if we could work on people, because they're the ones with the capacity to make a choice, that maybe with work through that sanctuary, we can expand people's ability to feel compassion.
Absolutely. I mean, what else can we do? I mean, that's essentially it.
Tell me about some of the programs that you offer through your Peepal Farm program so that you are able to get the word out.
So initially, when we started, we only got the word out through through people who were passing through, who were visiting, who were volunteering. Because initially, even when volunteers came, it's not necessary that they were already vegan or vegetarian. Some of them just loved dogs, and then they would pet a dog and they would pet a cow, and eventually they started making those connections themselves, that all animals are capable of feeling pain, and they changed. But we were not happy with the scale. 100 people passed through a year, 50, 50 admitted to changing. Wasn't good enough. So that's when we while we were scaling our rescue operations, we scaled our awareness operations by doing storytelling via social media. And that's how we started connecting with millions of people all over India, and getting them to think about that, hey, yeah, all animals are capable of feeling pain, and gradually changing. So right now, our latest thing has been to add an animation studio to our awareness team. So because we do all this awareness against animal suffering packaged in entertainment, so it's palatable. Nobody comes online looking for awareness; they come online looking for entertainment.
So you've connected the fact that people want entertainment, and in so doing, while they're being entertained, they're being educated.
Yeah. And when I say awareness, it's not like I'm imposing my beliefs on them. It's reminding them of their own beliefs, that I'm a good person, good people don't do harm. And then also in some videos telling them, hey, there's this harm behind your innocent looking action that you probably didn't know about. It's not like you wanted to cause suffering, but you were inadvertently causing it. So it's very gentle. It's a nudge, it's not a push.
Can you give us an example of perhaps one of your more successful campaigns?
uh I mean, in terms of, see, there's not a specific campaign. It's all like we made like over 1,000 videos. So there's a lot, and some of them are just broad strokes, like in general, that you gotta do good work. Just there's not much left in. Uh, so yeah, so there, so there's not much in acquiring fame or acquiring money, but it's the good work which you have to focus on. And I know this is very broad, so we connect with people's existing beliefs. So if they believe in, for example, God or hell or heaven, so a lot of videos would be connected to that. Hey, that you believe in hell and heaven, you believe God sends you to hell if you do cause suffering, then why do you do this action? And
Okay.
it's all Hindi content. Now, when we talk about campaigns, one of our very successful campaign has been to get dogs adopted instead of people buying dogs. So we have a tagline. It's like friends are made, not bought, and that is widely popular.
That's great. I love that. So, how do you balance direct rescue work with your broader awareness? And I mean, this all takes money. This all takes people, and I'm just wondering how you fund yourself.
So we have various revenue streams. One of it's like we run a farm stay, so people who come to stay, they pay a little to stay, and again, any leftover profits after taxes are donated to the rescue. So then all the media we do, it also has advertisements. So initially we had to pay to get videos to people. Currently on our videos, we get enough ad revenue to sustain our media.
Interesting.
And then a few years ago, the other co-founder, Shivani, who happens to be my wife as well, she started, a women enterprise. Her thing is she wants to empower women in the village, and she thinks, employment is the first way to empowerment. So we also make products that we sell. So, we started making products like peanut butter, kombucha, like healthy things. And so, and all the products carry a small message that, hey, all the profits are being donated to People Farm Animal Rescue. So that way, people who were not thinking about animals, they were thinking about just their health, now think about animals. And it also brings in revenue. And then we have donations.
Okay.
And our donations are not like big CSR funds or foreign funds. It's all individual donors all over the country who are connected to us through social media.
How many animals are at your rescue at this time?
We have around 140 animals. So 60 of them are resident animals. Uh, so there are 20 of them who were supposed to be adopted, never got adopted. So that's how they ended up staying here. So we have 60 resident animals. And in the hospital, at any given time, there's around 80 patients.
Yeah, I know that that's your focus also is to treat injured animals. Um, Tell me why that's so important for them to be heard through storytelling and advocacy.
See, because a lot more animals die on our dinner tables than on roads. So yeah, we run a rescue. We help around 1,000 animals a year, but that's a very tiny number. If people were to move away from destructive behaviors, they would, that saves a whole lot more animals.
Absolutely.
So the hospital is more immediate. If you see an injured animal, we want to be able to help the animal and relieve their suffering. We can't say, we're gonna do awareness and one day you won't have to suffer. So the hospital is more immediate and awareness work is more long term.
Do people connect with the stories about the animal that was injured that you brought to health? Does that hit a heartstring, you think?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Because we have stories about, so other than the animations, a lot of videos are this cow came and, we couldn't bring her baby the time. Then we went back and brought the baby. And when they saw each other. So we have a lot of stories which tell people that, hey, animals are also perfectly capable of feeling emotions.
Well said.
You're listening to Better Life for Animals podcast. Our mission is to amplify the voices of animal advocates, sanctuaries, and changemakers working toward a kinder, more compassionate world. But we can't do it alone. We need your help. First of all, go ahead and subscribe to this channel wherever you're watching or listening. And then get involved by visiting betterlifeforanimals.com. That's betterlifeforanimals.com. Be sure to check out our blog, learn more about incredible sanctuaries, and explore our book section, where 100% of net proceeds from book sales are donated to sanctuaries. Every action you take helps to make a difference. And remember, subscribe to this channel. And now, back to the show.
If you're just joining us, I'm speaking with Robin Singh of Peepal Farm, and this is Better Life for Animals. Robin, what unique challenges have you faced working in rural India, and how have the local communities responded to your work?
See, my primary challenge wasn't material; it was more internal. When I came to rural India, not long before that, I was settled in Tucson, Arizona, had a pretty laid back life and was accustomed to a certain lifestyle. And when I realized that life's only worth living if you are doing good work, if you are reducing suffering, and then I moved to rural India, I was acting on this belief that I have to do good, but I hadn't really adapted to it. So a lot of nights I would cry myself to sleep while running this place, that what have I done to my life? So that was my big challenge. The other challenges have been more like infrastructure challenges. It's rural India. Sometimes there would be a storm and the power lines get knocked out. So just to be prepared for every situation, every season, that has been a challenge. But when it comes to communities, our immediate village, that has responded very well to us. Now it's very stray dog friendly. So dogs are, even if they walk in a small eatery, people don't mind. A lot of people have adopted dogs. So our village has responded particularly nicely.
Back to this concept that you talked about in the beginning about having life purpose, and that's what I'm hearing what you're sharing. It's such a it's a internal it's a passion of yours to make a difference, and I love it because I'm wondering how effective we can be if maybe we talk about that. Because that's what so many of us living on the planet today, we don't have that connection. And I think that animals help us to have that connection and to talk about, this is what it was like for me, before and after. Sometimes I think that's as powerful to connect with people as it would be to talk about an animal, because we are animals.
Yeah. Uh, I, the one thing is, I don't see it as a passion. I mean, I don't even see it as a choice. It's so wrapped into my identity now that this is how I live. Either I do this or I don't live. It's because the reason how I came to doing good was, when I going back to how I met that woman who was taking care of 40 to 60 dogs. The reason I wasn't happy was that I had understood that our every act hides suffering. Everything we do, every act of consumption requires production, and production causes someone to suffer somewhere, even if it's not visible to us. So I was, at the time, I was thinking that even just by virtue of living, I'm causing so much suffering. So why am I living? How am I living with the belief that I'm a good person when I know that when I live, I cause suffering? So when I met Lorraine, that gave me an answer, that instead of killing myself, I can repurpose my life to work against suffering. So this is my only choice. It's not about passion. It's about just understanding that.
How do we get more people to have that purpose?
See, I think, so this will, I'll come to the title of my book. It says happiness for
Mm,
those who have everything else. I think once people have acquired all of what they think is gonna make them happy, it's
mhm,
only after that they realize how empty is it. And
mm.
it's only after that, if they don't get distracted by some, new age guruji, or drugs or alcohol, or a mind-numbing pursuit, they would come to purpose. I do think they have to have a certain level of empathy, because you have a lot of reasonable people who have this crisis of meaning at times, but then they don't turn towards service or doing good, because I think it depends on how much empathy you were raised with, how deep that empathy runs, and how wide is that circle of empathy.
Very interesting. I interviewed a gentleman last week and we talked a lot about grief and how sometimes because that is a human experience that we will all hit upon at some point in our lives. And sometimes that could be looked upon as an opportunity to kind of, blur those lines and see that what's out beside just us, how can we make an impact and help, animals. And I really think that what you're talking about, along with what I heard last week, there's a bigger message there that I think is so important for everyone to connect with, because we live at a time when most of us are so very fortunate. We have so much going on for us, and yet we feel somewhat empty. And, so what is the answer to filling that? And I love what you've done. Tell us about your book.
So, it came out a couple months ago. The reason I wrote it was, how I told you when I started People Farm, I would cry myself to sleep sometimes. And, but I did this because, like I said, it's tied into my identity. This is the only thing I do or I die. And then after a few years went by, I started feeling this contentment. And I was like, okay, this is it. This is what I was looking for. This is what I call happiness. So not only I experienced it, and then I started thinking about how I got happy. And so I connected the dots in my life. It's like, acquiring everything I ever wanted and more, coming face to face with my infinite void, failing to find an answer to fill it, giving up on the pursuit of happiness, then pursuing purpose. And eventually it was that purpose that filled that infinite void, and that made me happy. And I was like, wow, so much of our lives we suffer and we cause suffering because of our misinformed pursuit of happiness. Nobody tells us how it really works. So based on my experience, I wrote the book. It's a short book. First part of it's my story, and the second part of it is what I learned from it about happiness, purpose, and doing good.
Tell us the name of the book and how our audience can find it.
It's called Happiness Happens, and it's available on Amazon.
Excellent. Okay. So what is the most effective way that the general public can help end animal cruelty in their daily lives? What can they do?
You start by stopping. If you are consuming animal products, you can move away from that consumption. I think that's a huge step to stop harming, and then to start helping. See, I have a lot of suggestions about how you can start helping. None of them applies in the United States. It's more about the stray animals in India.
Okay, but don't we have stray animals in America?
Not like India does. not
Okay.
not like India does. Like in the US, when in Tucson, sometimes we would see, rarely, depends on the area we would see an abandoned pet. But there was immediately an organization you could call. There's always animal control you can call. In India, we are living with stray animals. They are reality. They are as, like, you have neighbors, you have stray animals on the streets. So we encourage people to feed them in winters, take care of them, because we nearly not have enough shelters to move all these animals. So feed them, take care of them. If they get injured, how you can do first aid, how you can associate with shelters to foster an animal. So there's a lot of that we encourage people to do.
I find a lot of times in America, especially when you're in a suburban setting, that we look at animals as the other, usually as pests. If they're not a dog or a cat, they're dangerous, they're a nuisance. And I wonder sometimes how we can connect to the reality that they're here because they're here. And they have a reason, just like you and I have a reason. And while I'm not suggesting anybody be in danger, there's a mindset. Sometimes I like at least the image of living among other animals, like you are able to do in India, in a way that we can. I mean, it's an opportunity to understand that animals have their own ways of being, and yet they feel just as we do, and they care just as we do. So there's an opportunity there for more compassion, I would think. Maybe that's why
Yeah,
you're back.
absolutely. I think it's our upbringing, it's our culture. It shapes us, that at what point we start saying other and objectifying them. So
I think that
that's
happens early in this country. Yes. Well, that's what we're trying to work against, to try and expand people's understanding that we're all here and that we all deserve a better life. I'm wondering, looking forward to your future, what are your hopes for Peepal Farm and the movement to reduce animal suffering more broadly, both in India and in the world?
Right now, we are focused a lot more on sterilizations, on birth control. So we have been working on birth control for years, but lately there has been a lot of negative focus on stray dogs. There's rising incidents of cruelty, and even the government, even the Supreme Court, which has so far upheld the rights of stray dogs, has now been asking them to be moved to shelters. And shelters here are non-existent. The government holding facilities are worse than concentration camps, and it's horrible. I mean, they already do it to stray cows, and these cows suffer and die. Now they're going to do it to dogs as well. So we have an increased focus on birth control, where we are planning on how we can do it in a mobile operation theater in in other parts of Himachal, because right now we operate in this one small village and we have this much radius, but we have to do more. See, I have to mention that I operate on a very solid foundation of pessimism. I have no misgivings that I'll be able to end suffering. I think all my work is, it offers friction to the rise of suffering. Suffering increases as population increases. A lot of people don't have empathy, and people breed and they produce more people who don't have empathy. So it's increasing. So yeah, so I have to just make sure I do as much as I can do. Darkness will be there. I have to, keep my lamp lit.
Absolutely, Robin. I'm so glad there are people like you. And I still wanted there to be more people like you. I think that might be the only answer, because you're right. You're just one person. There's only so much one person can do, and we're working against a lot of factions. However, I think if we can create more of us, there's some hope.
Yeah, I second that. As narcissistic as that might sound, I do want more people like me.
Well, this has been such a pleasure, Robin. Is there anything that you would like to share before we conclude? And be sure and let us know how we can find and support you.
You can find more about our work on Peepal Farm. That's PEEPALFARM.org. And yeah, read my book for sure.
Absolutely. Your book sounds amazing. This has been Robin Singh of Peepal Farm, and I'm Cheryl Moss of Better Life for Animals. And if you've liked today, I would encourage you to like and subscribe so that we can create a better life for animals.
Thank you for joining us on the Better Life for Animals podcast. Together, we can create a world where all beings are treated with dignity, respect, and care. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, rate, and review wherever you're listening. It helps us reach more people and spread awareness about the incredible work happening in animal sanctuaries. You can also share this episode with friends and fellow advocates to keep the conversation going. Until next time, keep speaking up, taking action, and making a difference for the animals.